Well, my name is Baird, and about 3 years ago, my husband Gord and I embarked upon our project to create a sustainable life for our family, and that includes my parents and our 2 kids, so the 6 of us in 3 generations. And our goal was to create a sustainable home for our family, living comfortably in a way that our culture is used to without taking away resources from future generations. So as you can imagine, there was a lot of challenges there, both to do this affordably, to do this sustainably, and to do this to make everybody in our 3-generation family happy with all those different values.
How big is the house?
The house is 2150 square feet inside. It's considerably more on the outside because the walls are almost 2 feet thick. And so that's quite small when you consider that 6 people live there.
So what kind of reaction have you had?
Oh, we've had an amazing amount of support, both locally in our own little community of the Highlands, as well as globally. We've had an immense amount of publicity. We've had a lot of TV cameras, a lot of radio, and a lot of paper media on what we're doing, because people are excited about it, because it's solutions. It's not focusing on problems, it's focusing on solutions, and people get really excited about that.
One of the students asked a question that's coming up saying, how can this be affordable for will this address the affordable housing problem?
Absolutely. That's been one of our biggest pushes. My background is biology as well as business management. So when you combine those two together, you understand how finances work and how the ecology works, and they're actually the same thing when you really think about it. So when we built this house, we kept track of every expense, we put it on a spreadsheet, and we put it into categories so we could do a full cost analysis of all the different parts and components of the building, and it came in extremely affordable. Even with all of our own labor and all the sustainable energies, which are quite costly, the cost of the house comes in at about $140 a square foot, which is considerably less expensive than your conventional low-end stick frame house. That's even more impressive when you realize that the house will last 500 or more years. So if you do a full life cycle cost analysis, it gets very, very inexpensive. Now, that cost of $140 a square feet includes all of our energy for the next 25, 30 years, because we have a solar system which produces our electricity, and a solar thermal system which produces all of our heat, both for heating the house and heating the hot water. And those systems themselves come in at about $80,000, so they're very expensive systems. But when you factor that into the entire cost of the house, it's still very affordable.
So what are the lessons learned what are your lessons learned so far in this process?
Well, for one, we've learned that sustainability is fun. It's not about giving up things. It's about a different way of living, and it's a different set of values to live by that excites us. I mean, the things that make us happy are our family and our friends and our connection with nature and getting involved in the community. And, you know, as long as you have enough and have your needs covered, lifestyle is what makes us happy, not our life stuff.
So what kind of adjustments does it take for someone living from as you say, sort of a stick house to a cob house?
Very little adjustments, actually. We have all the creature comforts we're used to. You know, we still warm, and we have running water, and we have bathrooms and showers, and, you know, life happens normally like it does in our culture. But we do things differently, and there's some adjustments. And what's really interesting in our family, because we're 3 generations, the youngest kids, Emily and Parker, they're 9 and 11, and they adjust the easiest. Kids adjust the easiest. They're simpler, and they understand what really makes people happy, which is love and friends and family and those sorts of things. My parents have a harder time with that, because they've been so ingrained into their way of using energy and things like that. They have a harder time adjusting to lifestyle choices. Lifestyle choices include having less stuff to plug in. If you're going to be super energy efficient, you make choices about the number of things that you plug in, and you actually think about energy use in a different way.
So what impact is this having on your neighborhood, on your city?
Well, we live in the Highlands, which is a district of Victoria here in British Columbia, and we've had an amazing impact there, both in the support from our community and the people. We have regular tours, so people come and they leave inspired, and they get excited about maybe not necessarily building their own cob house with everything that we've done in it, but they get excited about the possibility for the future and what little things that they can make changes in their home. And so we've had an immense amount of support, because one of the key issues in our own community is water conservation. And so our house is really, basically call it hardwired for water conservation. The most important thing we do for water conservation is not have a flush toilet. And so we don't produce any wastewater in that capacity. We produce compost, which is a resource. Another thing we do is we don't have a bathtub. We have showers with low flow fittings and things like that, and super energy efficient washing machine. We also have a rainwater harvesting system from a living roof. And so we have quite a large storage capacity on our land, and we use that for watering our food gardens. So we really reduce our impact on groundwater, which is really critical in the highlands, because they're talking about with climate change over the next 50 to 100 years that our water table is going to drop dramatically. So we have to not only think about our needs for today, but we have to think about our kids' needs and our kids' kids' needs and all the other creatures that share the land with us.
So what was the turning point in your, existence or career or life that led you to this decision?
Yeah, the point where we changed. My background, like I said, is biology, and I've always been passionate about the environment and preserving the natural beauty of the land. And when I started to work in economics, I saw that the two were often contradicting each other, and it didn't have to be that way. There's a way to balance those things. I started seeing people living in a way that wasn't connecting with them, that they weren't connecting with the environment, and they were withdrawing from their communities, and it just seemed to be a way that was unfulfilling for people. So it was a turning point for me to, for myself, live in a way that I felt would be more nurturing, both to my environment and to myself, and it just seemed to make a lot of sense with what's going on with the world with climate change and peak oil, and it needed to make a difference.
So is there some kind of revenue stream that you've created this thing? In what ways is it economically sustainable for you?
Well, the first thing we did is we combined the resources from my husband and I and my parents, and we purchased land together. So it was families coming together, and we gave up our jobs to build our house full time. And during that process, our bank account completely emptied out. There's nothing left anymore. But you know what? It's not the money that makes you happy. It's the community. It's as long as you have enough of the basics, which are clean food, clean water, and love, and health care and education. Those basic things are the important things. Everything above and beyond that, like the big screen TV, are not necessarily what's going to make you happy. Those are the wants and not the needs.
Well, what is your income right now? I mean, where are you drawing from?
We're working to produce an income for ourselves, doing the tours, doing consulting, and we're helping to build a community bathroom in the Highlands, which is a composting toilet, different things like that. We're taking on projects to provide the income for the things that we can't grow ourselves or make ourselves or fix ourselves. So everybody needs an income, obviously, and for the car, which is one of those necessary evils right now to fit in with our society.
Have you thought about the biofuel for that, the biodiesel?
Yep, absolutely. But right now we would have to change vehicles in order to do that, and we don't have the means right now to do that. We're in the same boat as everybody else.
What's the next step?
The next step is to continue on with their tours and education and to try to inspire other people. We're also applying for something called the Living Building Challenge, which is a part of Cascadia, which is the Canadian and U.S. Green Building Council. And with that program, we'll be one of the buildings that will be the closest to achieving living building status in North America. We're really open the eyes of engineers and architects to the possibilities. Not saying every cob building is appropriate everywhere, but the different systems and the integration and creating a home that functions as part of nature, where the dwelling and the occupants and the environment around it are all one. Energy and resources flow in and around them all, so they're not separate.
I think that's it. That's good. Okay. You got something else to say? I'm going to make sure that Case is around. Have you met Case?
No.
Chatelet, I think his name is. He's the guy who developed biofuel for Columbia Fuels.
Well, the home itself is cob, which is clay, sand, and straw. And with that, we've put pumice into the walls, which makes it highly insulative. So all the different systems in it, from the earth floors to the living roof to the natural plasters, everything incorporated into it will make it one of the most sustainable homes in North America. Clearly a more sustainable way to live. Well, the building we created doesn't use any of the manufactured products, all those things that produce the chemicals and the toxins and all those kind of things. We use all natural materials in the walls, right down to using the clay plasters and the lime plasters and the homemade milk paints and everything. Everything's natural, so there's no plastics or chemicals. So when this house is done, you know, and it's done at the end of, say, 500 or 800 years, it's just recycled back into the earth. There is no waste produced from this house.
But you're saying 500 years.
Yes. Yeah. Well, houses just like this, built in the same style as this in England and the UK, are still being lived in, and they're over 500 years old. So because it's not an organic material and it's not a chemical synthetic product, it doesn't rot. It's basically a big rock. Now we've created a big insulated rock in our house, which is quite unique. It's the first seismically engineered, code-approved, load-bearing cob residence in North America.
Say that one more time.
It's the first load-bearing, which means there's no posts in the walls holding it up. It's cob, so the walls are holding it all up. It's the first load-bearing, seismically engineered, code-approved cob home in North America.